Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am just Mike. You are watching and you are listening to episode number 55 of the Rock Out Wild Show, where it's not just a show, it is a way of life. Now, if you are new to this video, and if you are new to this channel watching this right now, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below this very video. You can also like or dislike this episode of the Rock Out Wild Show. You can also share this on all of your social media platforms, from your Facebook to your X or Twitter to YouTube to Blue Sky to whatever it is you use. Tell everyone and spread the word what the Rock Out Wild Show is all about. When I say tell everyone, and I mean tell everyone, from your family to your friends to your coworkers to your acquaintances. Basically, tell them what the Rock Out Wild Show is all about. I am your host, Just Mike. As you see, for the main event of this very episode, I will be going over an article from ScreenCrush of the best films of 2025. Now, because I've only watched a few movies last year that are 2025 releases, I'm not going to do a list, but I will go over a list and see which films that I have seen or I haven't seen. So that will be the main event of this very episode. This is going to be a bit of a movie-themed type of show as well. Not only do I have the main event, that is this list, I also have going over a history of movies and television, and I'll be reacting to a movie as well. So on the docket, besides the main event, we have on this day for January the 28th in wrestling, music, sports, and film and television. And to kick off episode number 55 of the Rock Out Wild Show, I will be reacting to an old movie review of mine from 2015, a movie called Mortdecai, starring Johnny Depp. So what I'm going to do first is turn on the webcam and show everyone my face right here, right now. Hey everyone, what's up? Alright, so let's present, share screen, and let's react to my old movie review for Mortdecai, starring Johnny Depp. Make sure the audio is on. Perfect. Let's go full screen. And usually with these reviews, as of late, as of this year, I am predicting the amount of points that I give this movie. I am going to predict, because I remember this movie being really bad, it's going to be low. I think that I gave Mortdecai, I would say maybe 26 points out of 100. I'm thinking that if it's lower, I'll be not surprised at all, but we'll see. So hold that to me, 26 out of 100, and let's react. In 3, 2, 1, action. Hello, what's up? How's it going, all movie fans in the Movieverse? Welcome to the Mike McRock Movie Review Show. Oh, I really don't feel so well. And that was after watching this dump! What an intro. What an intro. So Mortdecai is about this really, really artsy, fartsy, really English guy who is infatuated with paint and art and stuff like that, and he's an art dealer, and now he has to recover a stolen painting rumored to contain a code that leads to a lost Nazi gold, and bad guys are after him who thinks he has the painting, and you have Mortdecai, and I'm really confused because this movie is rated R, and yet there were really goofy, cartoony action sequences that were really unnecessary. I guess they were going with a satire routine with this really, really British movie. And I'll say this first. It is really incredibly hard to pull a satire type of movie. People say comedy is subjective, and yeah, it definitely is, but satire, that's a whole nother can of worms to try to pull off. Let's continue.
This didn't work on so many levels. Here you have Johnny Depp playing Mordecai, and I'm at a point now where I have to say, Johnny Depp, please stop acting. You suck. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, Transcendence, Sleepy Hollow, Edward Scissorhead, whatever if it was. Do I have to go any further? I mean, for the love of God, Johnny Depp, please save us. Do something better. Enough of this crap. Move on. Also having this movie is Gwyneth Paltrow. And going into this movie, I thought Gwyneth Paltrow was going to be like the shining light in this movie, but she turned out to be an annoying character. Yeah, and Ewan McGregor, he was alright in the movie, but he really couldn't save it. And you also had Paul Bettany as well, and he was pretty much the only guy I kind of liked in this movie, but that didn't really say much either as well. And I think that this movie was just doomed to begin with. There was nothing interesting going on in this movie. I didn't care about anything about this movie, and quite frankly, the whole plot is a complete mess in this movie. But there was one little funny, I guess. I kind of chuckled at the elevator scene, but that was pretty much it. This movie was not funny at all. There's no redeeming qualities with this movie.
There it is.
It stinks. I'm ranking this movie 0 points out of 100. Do not go see this movie at all. This is garbage. Terrible. 2 thumbs down the toilet.
Oh my
and if
God.
you saw Mortdecai, please don't. But if you did, what did you think about it? Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section below. I don't know. I mean... Yeah, well, you can also hit that subscribe button as well to get McRocked, but after watching this movie,
What an outro. What an outro. A freaking amazing. I gave that movie 26 points that I didn't need to give it. I was way off. Amazing. 0 points out of 100. I think that's the first movie I ever reacted to that I actually gave 0 out of 100. My God. Here you have a movie that I reviewed many years ago called Interstellar, and I gave that 100 points. And I gave Mortdecai the complete opposite, 0. A big fat lump of 0. Actually, you know what? This light here, this light right here is the shape of a 0. It's a freaking donut. So that was my reaction to my own movie review from Mortdecai. I was actually... I'll say this about my review itself. It's a little bit unclean. You know, the lighting's not good and the edits could have been a little bit better. But just for the sheer entertainment of how I convey myself and how I was talking about the movie, that, to me, was far more entertaining than I remember the movie being. That's my take on in hindsight for Mortdecai, starring Johnny Depp. 0 points out of 100. Amazing. Anyway, let's move on. And we will talk about the things that we normally see for the Rock Out Wild Show. And that is an installment I like to call On This Day for January the 28th. Seeing this is January the 28th as this episode will air. So let's share screen. And let's take a look at what happened on this day for January 28th in the world of professional wrestling. As you see, there's a picture here of Ronda Rousey on the far left, pointing at the WrestleMania sign. You got Charlotte Flair there, right next to her. And over on the right, we got the No One's Ready for Asuka, and Alexa Bliss with the other title. So let's see what happened for on this day for January 28th in wrestling. Back in 1991, on a WWF Superstars of Wrestling taping, Paul Bearer made his WWE debut when he was introduced on the Brother Love show as the new manager of The Undertaker. Oh, my Undertaker! You will rest in peace, my Undertaker! Your brother is alive, Undertaker! Anyway, in 2002, in a confrontation between WWE storyline co-owners Vince McMahon and Ric Flair on Raw, McMahon threatened that he would bring in the New World Order to poison WWE if Flair did not agree to sell his shares to him. This was the first ever mention of the iconic WCW faction on WWE television. They, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan, brother, would make their WWE debut as the group on the following month's No Way Out pay-per-view. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And boy, did they really fumble the ball when they returned. Oh my God. Everyone wanted to cheer Hulk Hogan. That's how bad a fumble. In 2007, the WWE's Royal Rumble pay-per-view took place at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. The Royal Rumble match itself came down to two Texans, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Who would have thought? The two then engaged in a match within a match that ended up as the longest time the final two alone have spent in a Royal Rumble, and rightfully so. Eventually, The Undertaker eliminated Shawn Michaels to win the match. The Dead Man was the first man to ever win the Rumble after entering in the number 30 slot. In 2017, NXT TakeOver San Antonio took place at the Freeman Coliseum. In the main events, the Pride of Peterborough, Bobby Roode, vanquished Shinsuke Nakamura to win the NXT Championship. What are we termed? Vanquished? Okay. Earlier in the night, the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, defeated DIY, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa to win the NXT Tag Team Championship. In 2018, history was made at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The event played host to the first ever women's Royal Rumble match that was won by Asuka. Immediately afterwards, UFC legend Ronda Rousey came to the ring to make her WWE debut. Earlier in the night, Shinsuke Nakamura eliminated Roman Reigns to win the men's Royal Rumble, and The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, won the Raw Tag Team Championship against Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins. Due to neck injury, the match ended up being Jason Jordan's last ever wrestling match. We have some notable wrestling birthdays in the world of professional wrestling. We have Sieta Sanda, born in 1988. Born on January the 28th. The Celtic Warrior, Sheamus, was born on this day in 1978. And Shark Boy was born on January the 28th, 1975. Those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of professional wrestling. Now let's take a look at what happened on this day in the world of music. As you see, here's a picture of a lot of talented musicians and singers and artists right there. All-Star Lineup Records, We Are the World. On this day in music, January the 28th, 1985, music's biggest stars, collectively dubbed USA for Africa, assembled in Los Angeles A&M recording studio to record We Are the World. It's like their own version of Avengers Assemble. Written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, the Grammy-winning charitable single was inspired by Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas, released a month earlier to raise funds for famine relief in Ethiopia. More than 36 artists took part in the epic recording session, including 21 soloists. Among them were Tina Turner, Diana Ross, Kenny Rogers, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, The Boss, Bruce Springsteen, and Paul Simon. Bob Geldof, who organized Do They Know It's Christmas, joined the chorus alongside the Pointer Sisters, Bette Midler, and Harry Belafonte, among many others, while Quincy Jones served as conductor. Between record and merch sales, as well as private donations, We Are the World raised more than $50 million for the humanitarian fund. In 1995, TLC scored their first #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with Creep. The slow jam was an anthem for lovers on the down low everywhere. And they still have no scrubs. The rumor has it they still have no scrubs and are still chasing waterfalls. In 1978, Van Halen released their first single, a high-energy rendition of the Kinks' You Really Got Me. Ah, yeah! While rumored to be disliked by the Kinks themselves, the cover was a huge hit, thanks to frontman David Lee Roth's over-the-top delivery. I'm not going to do it again. I know you were expecting that, but I'm not doing it again. In 1978, one of the music's most celebrated... Let's try this again. In 1978, one of the music's most celebrated albums, Fleetwood Mac's Rumours, went to #1 in the UK. The album features several hit singles, including Go Your Own Way, Dreams, Don't Stop, and You Make Lovin' Fun. And we have some birthdays in the world of music. For January the 28th, we have Ronnie Scott, was born in 1927. Born in 1941 was King Tubby. From South Machine, Robert Wyatt was born on this day in 1945. One of my favorite singers of the 90s was born on this day, January the 28th in 1968, Sarah McLachlan. Born also in 1968 is DJ Muggs from Cypress Hill. Joey Fatone from NSYNC was born on this day in 1977. And we also have Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys was born on January the 28th, 1980. And born in 1985, January the 28th, is J. Cole. Those are all the things that happen on this day in the world of music for January the 28th. Now let's take a look to see what happened in the world of sports for the very day of January. You guessed it, January the 28th. In 1904, first college sports letters given to seniors who played on University of Chicago's football team are awarded blankets with letter C on them. In 1922, the same year as Nosferatu came out, J.E. Clare turns Green Bay franchise back to the NFL. In 1929, Australian Championships men's tennis, Englishman Colin Gregory wins his only Grand Slam title, beating Richard Slinger of Australia 6-2, 6-2, 5-7, and 7-5. Also in 1929, Australian Championships women's tennis, Adelaide Daphne Acurst retains title, beats Louise Bickerton 6-1, 5-7, and 6-2. In 1939, Australian Championships men's tennis. Shout out to you, Galvanic, for the tennis. Australian John Broomwich wins his first Australian title, beats doubles partner Adrian Quist 6-4, 6-1, and 6-3. And also in 1939, Australian Championships women's tennis. In an all-Australian final, Emily Hood Westcott beats Neil Hall Holtman 6-1 and 6-2 for her only Grand Slam singles title. In 1940, Chicago's Les Cunningham scores 5 points in one period to set an NHL record that stands until 1978. records 2 goals and 3 assists in a 10:04 span during the third period of an 8-1 win over Montreal. In 1943, Chicago Blackhawks beat New York Rangers 10-1. Max Bentley scores 4 goals. In 1949, New York Giants signed their first black players, Monty Irvin and Fort Smith. In 1952, Australian Championships men's tennis, Ken McGregor wins his first and only Grand Slam event, upsets fellow Australian Frank Sedgman 7-5, 12-10, 2-6, and 6-2. Also in 1952, Australian Championships women's tennis in an all-Australian final, Thelma Kanye-Long beats Helen Angwin 6-2, 6-3 for her first of her 2 Australian singles titles. In 1954 NFL Draft, Bobby Garrett from University of Stanford, first pick by Cleveland Browns. In 1956, Australian skier Tony Saylor wins the Giants slalom at the Cortina d'Ampezzo Winter Olympics on his way to a sweep of the 3 alpine skiing events at the Games. Also in 1956, Italy goes 1-2 in the 2-man bobsleigh at the Cortina d'Ampezzo Winter Olympics, along with silver in 4-man events, the only medals for the home nation at the Games. In 1957, Australian Championship men's tennis, Ashley Cooper wins first of 2 straight Australian titles, beats fellow Australian Neil Fraser 6-3, 9-11, 6-4, and 6-2. In 1957, Australian Championship women's tennis, Shirley Fry wins All-American final, beats Alpha Gibson 6-3 and 6-4 for her only Australian singles title. In 1958, Dodger catcher Roy Campanella is paralyzed in an automobile wreck. In 1959, Soviet Union wins 62-37 for first international basketball loss by the U.S. In 1960, NFL announces Dallas Cowboys 1960 and Minnesota Vikings 1961 franchises. In 1968, 29th PGA Seniors Golf Championship, Chandler Harper. Also in 1968, Goose Goslin and Kiki Kuyler elected to Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1968, Thai boxer Charche Chinochi retains his world flyweight title in the 13th round TKO of home favorite Efrain Torres in Mexico City. First of 3 meetings between the pair. In 1969, NFL Draft, O.J. Simpson from the USC, first pick by Buffalo Bills. I wonder if they regretted that afterwards. I'm just wondering. In 1971, NFL Draft, Jim Plunkett from Stanford University, first pick by New England Patriots. In 1973, Mickey Welsh, George Kelly, and Billy Evans elected to Baseball Hall of Fame. Also in 73, NHL Detroit Red Wings. Let's try this again. In 1973, NHL Detroit Red Wings Henry Bocha scores 6 seconds into game in 4-2 win over Canadiens at the Forum in Montreal, Quebec. In 1974, Sam Thompson, Jim Bottomley, and Joko Connellan are elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1975 NFL Draft, Steve Bartkowski from University of California, first pick by Atlanta Falcons. In 1976, NBA, Atlanta Hawks begin a 28-game road losing streak. Anticlimactic to the Undertakers. In 1978, Rangers' Don Murdoch failed on 4th penalty shot against Islanders. In 1980, New York coach Red Holzman wins his 600th NBA game, only the second, after Red Ariabach, coach at the time, to reach the plateau as the Knicks beat Golden State 107-103. In 1984, Edmonton center Wayne Gretzky's NHL record point scoring streak ends at 51 games when the Oilers beaten 4-2 by LA Kings. Gretzky totals 61, 92, 153 during the period. The Great One. In 1985, Houston's Bill Fitch becomes the sixth coach in NBA history to post 600 wins as the Rockets beat the New Jersey Nets 97-93. In 1987, wrestler Jim Neidhart indicted for assaulting a flight attendant. In 1988, Denver Nuggets point guard Michael Adams takes record streak to 79 consecutive games with at least one three-point field goal in 117-102 loss against Indiana at Market Square Arena. Streak ends next game. Also in 88, New York Rangers Marcel Dion scores a second period power play goal in 5-2 win in Philadelphia. Becomes the first player in NHL history to get 20 goals in each of the first 17 seasons. In 1989, Australian Open women's tennis, Steffi Graf of Germany beats Czech Helena Sukova 64-64 for a sixth career Grand Slam title and her second Australian singles crown. Also in 89, David Boone completes seventh test century 149 v. WI at SCG. Seventh test century. Try to say what I just said 5 times fast. And no, not what I just said. In 1990, Australian Open men's tennis American-based Czech star Ivan Lendl of wins 8th and last career Grand Slam title, beats Stefan Edberg 46, 76, 5-2. Edberg retires injured. The Super Bowl. In 1990, Super Bowl XXIV, Louisiana Superdome, New Orleans, LA. San Francisco 49ers beat Denver Broncos 55-10. MVP, Joe Montana. In 1991, David Boone completes 9th Test century, 121 versus England at Adelaide. In 1992, David Boone completes 12th Test century, 135 versus Indiana at Adelaide. In 1992, also, St. Louis right wing Brett Hall becomes second player after Wayne Gretzky in NHL history to record back-to-back seasons of 50 goals in 50 games. And number 50 comes in 3-3. Blues tie a Los Angeles. 1995, Australian Open women's tennis. Mary Pierce of France beats Spain's Arantixa Sanchez Vicario 6-3, 6-2 for her first career Grand Slam title and her only Australian singles title. Also in 95, Memphis Mad Dogs granted CFL's 13th franchise. In 1996, Australian Open men's tennis. Boris Becker of Germany wins his 6th and last career Grand Slam title, beats American Chang 6-2, 6-4, 2-6, and 6-2. Man, there's a lot of tennis in this for today. Also in 96, a lot of football too, I might add. Super Bowl XXX, Sun Devil Stadium, Tempe, Arizona. Dallas Cowboys beats Pittsburgh Steelers 27-17. MVP Larry Brown, Dallas. In 2001, Australian Open men's tennis. Andre Agassi retains title, beats Frenchman Arnaud Clement 6-4, 6-2, and 6-2 for his third Australian trophy. In 2001, Super Bowl XXXV, Raymond James Stadium, Tampa, Florida. Baltimore Ravens beat New York Giants 34-7. MVP Ray Lewis in Baltimore. In 2006, Australian Open women's tennis, Amélie Marusimo of France wins her first Grand Slam title, beats Justine Henin 6-1 and 2-0. Henin retires from stomach cramps. Yeah, stomach cramps are a real kick in the you-know-what. In 2007, Australian Open men's tennis Swiss ace Roger Federer successfully defends his title, beating Fernando Gonzalez of Chile 7-6, 6-4, and 6-4. In 2012, Australian Open women's tennis, Victoria Azarenka becomes the first Belarusian player to win Grand Slam singles title, beats Maria Sharapova of Russia 6-3 and 6-0. In 2017, Australian Open women's tennis, Serena Williams defeats older sister Venus Williams. I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire. Anyway, moving on. 6-4, 6-4 for her 7th Australian title and record 23rd Grand Slam event singles victory. Your desire. In 2018, 63rd NHL All-Star Game. Amalie Arena, Tampa, Florida, Pacific Division All-Stars win 4-team 3-on-3 tournament. MVP Brock Boiser, Vancouver Canucks. Also in 2018, Australian Open men's tennis, Roger Federer beats Marian Cilic 6-2, 6-7, 6-3, 3-6, and 6-1 to win his record 20th Grand Slam title. In 2018, French drivers Sebastian Ogier. In 2018, French drivers Sebastian Ogier and Julian Ingureza won their 6th Monte Carlo rally in an M Sport Ford WRT. And also in 2018, NFL Pro Bowl, Orlando, Florida. AFC beats NFC 24-23. MVPs, Delane Walker, Tennessee Titans. Von Miller, Denver Broncos. In 2023, Australian Open women's tennis. Belarusian Ariana Sabalenka beats Elena Rybakina of Kazakhstan 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 for her first major title. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of these names. In 2024, AFC Championship, MNT, Bank Stadium, Baltimore, Maryland, Kansas City Chiefs beat Baltimore Ravens 17-10 to advance to the NFL Super Bowl. Also in 2024, Australian Open men's tennis, Janak Sinner of Italy produces an epic comeback to beat Daniel Medvedev. How many Vivs do you need in your last name? Holy crap. 3-6, 3-6, 6-4, 6-4, and 6-3 for his first Grand Slam singles title. Also in 2024, England cricket spin bowler Tom Hartley follows Ollie Pope's 196 with stunning debut figures of 7-62 as the tourists upset India by 28 runs in the first test in Hyderabad. In 2024 NFC Championship, Levi Stadium, Santa Clara, California, San Francisco 49ers beat Detroit Lions 34-31 to advance to the NFL Super Bowl. Also in 2024, the West Indies won their first cricket test match in Australia in 27 years in Brisbane. Rookie fast bowler Shamir Joseph takes 7-68 to guide Windies to an 8-run victory and a 1-1 series tie. And holy crap, that was a lot in sports for January the 28th. That was all for that. And for the final installment for On This Day, for January the 28th, we're going to look at film and television. In 1951, La Vie commence Demain, the first X-rated movie depicting artificial insemination, opens in London. In 1953, WJTV TV Channel 12 in Jackson, Mississippi, begins broadcasting. In 1957, Tonight America After Dark premieres with Jack Lescoulie and Al Jazzbo Collins on NBC between Steve Allen and Jack Parr. 1960, The Goons Show, final episode on BBC Radio. 1965, The Who makes their first appearance on British television program Ready, Steady, Go. In 1973, Barnaby Jones premieres on CBS TV. Also in 1973, 30th Golden Globes, The Godfather, Marlon Brando, and Liv Ullmann win. In 1973, Ron Howard appears on MASH in Sometimes You Hear the Bullets. In 1978, 35th Golden Globes, The Turning Point, Richard Burton and Jane Fonda win. In 1980, 37th Golden Globes, Kramer vs. Kramer, Dustin Hoffman and Sally Field win. In 1984, 41st Golden Globes, Terms of Endearment, Tom Courtenay, Robert Duvall, and Shirley MacLaine win. 1985, 12th American Music Awards, Cyndi Lauper and Lionel Richie win, and I'm hoping Cyndi Lauper goes into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame eventually. I know she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but she's got to go in this year. In 1989, 46 Golden Globes, Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman, and Jodie Foster win. In 1991, A Closer Look with Faith Daniels premieres on NBC TV. In 1981, 18th American Music Awards, MC Hammer and Janet Jackson win. In 1996, 12th Sundance Film Festival, Welcome to the Dollhouse wins Grand Jury Prize Dramatic. In 2001, 17th Sundance Film Festival, The Believer, directed by Henry Bean, wins Grand Jury Prize Dramatic. Also in 2001, Claude Michael Schonenberg and Alan Bubill's musical Miss Sagen, based on Giacomo Puccini's Madama Butterfly, and starring Jonathan Pryce and Lee Salonga, closes at Broadway Theater, New York City after 4,019 performances and 3 Tony Award wins. Oh my God, that's a lot of last names I couldn't pronounce. In 2007, 23rd Sundance Film Festival, Padre. In 2007, 23rd Sundance Film Festival, Padre Nocitro, directed by Christopher Zala, wins Grand Jury Prize Dramatic. Those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of film and television for January the 28th. And speaking of films, I do believe it is about that time for the main event of episode number 55 of the Rock Out Wild show. I am going to go over an article of the best films of 2025 from ScreenCrush. So let's present, share screen, and let's take a look at what ScreenCrush has for the best films of last year. Now, this article was written by Matt Singer. It was published on December the 8th of last year, and so this is still a bit new. And there's a little bit of a thing here. 2025 was the best of times, it was the worst of times kind of year for movies. For months, the box office figures, especially for independents and smaller Hollywood films, have been apocalyptically bad. Also says here, amidst mass media consolidation, the remaining studio are making fewer films and taking fewer risks, like Colin Farrell's Wayward Gambler from Ballad of a Small Player. They seem to believe the only way of a losing streak is by placing one big bet on one massive hand at the Barricade table. This may not be an age of wisdom. It's certainly an age of foolishness. But it's still an age with so many great movies, both big and small, hits and flops, American and international. In some ways, 2025 was unusual. A lot of the fall's so-called award contenders were massively disappointing. I did watch The Smashing Machine, and it was all right. I mean, the acting was good, but it was weird how the way that was making. Yeah, so it kind of was disappointing in that regard. I don't know if it'll be on this list though. Anyway, it also says here at the same time, a lot of the so-called dumb summer movies were thoughtful and bold. Weird how that works out. As studios cut back, streamers keep pumping out content, some of it as beautiful as anything you could see on the big screen. I don't know. But one of the Amazon movies, F1 starring Brad Pitt, I don't think I got it through a few minutes before I turned it off. It was just not for me. Anyway, it says here, maybe that makes the spring of hope. Maybe it's closer to the winter of despair. So let's see what, before I'll get into this little bit here, while we wait to find out, here is my personal list. So this is Matt's personal best on ScreenCrush of the movies of 2025 here, along with additional honorable mentions. A few years ago, he switched from making annual top 10s to 20s. So this will be a 20s, 20 movies here. And whoever decided a critic should only list the 10 best films of a given year did not watch enough movies, like me, which is why I'm reacting to this. It's very easy to feel pessimistic about the state of cinema and the future of the medium. But it's also hard not to feel excited about the movies we go over the last 12 months. It's sort of a season of light, season of darkness type deal. So here are the best films of the 20 best films of 2025, according to this guy from ScreenCrush. We got Caught Stealing at number 20. Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing was one of the movie's year's most pleasant surprises, it says. Buried at the end of August, where studios typically dump the worst cinematic travesties. It was very fun, very dark thriller with excellent vintage New York City vibes. The plot evokes after hours, even before the Griffiths Dune shows up in a supporting role. Dunham, it keeps appealing on surprise twists after another. And it also says here, I'm not sure what about made me more nostalgic. The sight of Shea Stadium, the sight of the old Kim's video in the East Village, or the very existence of Caught Stealing, a mid-level drama for adults from a major Hollywood studio. And we got number 19 here. Ephus. I never even heard of Ephus. And it says here, this is such a wonderful title for this unheard, simple movie. Deceptively simple movie, it says. Like its namesake pitch, it really sneaks up on you, and just when you think you know where it's headed, it bends in a new direction. It says here, also note that many of the other names for the movie pitched listed on Wikipedia, including Blooper Ball, Parachute, and Gravity Curve, would also suit the movie. And in Ephus, a pair of small-town amateur baseball teams play what will be the final game at their field before it is torn down. Over 9 long innings, co-writer, director Carson Lund explores the relationships between teammates and rivals alike and uses this one utterly inconsequential game to explore why the rituals and traditions of baseball means much so to so many. Number 19, it was just an accident. Never even heard of this one. It says, between this and Begona, it was quite a fall for fans of movies about deeply troubled men who kidnap someone they believe bears responsibility for an hideous injustice committed against them and society as a whole, while their abductee repeatedly insists they're innocent of their accusations. That's a weird movie. I don't know about that one. One more, and we've got a full-blown trend. Okay. It says, it was just an accident. Director Jafar Panahi tells the story of a former Iranian prisoner who stumbles upon the man who brutally tortured him during an unjust incarnation, or no, incineration, unjust incineration, or at least he thinks it's the man he never saw is torturer, but he believes he recognizes his voice and the distinctive sound of his prosthetic leg. I don't know about this movie. Unsure what to do, he recruits other torture victims to try to identify their attacker, and decide what to do with them. Brutality is sad and sometimes very funny. It was just an accident, particularly powerful because Panahi had been imprisoned on several occasions himself and could soon be again. Yikes. He was recently sentenced in absentia to another 1 year prison term by the Iranian government for the making of this very film. Okay, that's kind of insane. That is actually insane. Number 17, Bogonia. Never even heard of this movie at all. Bogonia. Nobody makes me feel bad. Nobody makes feel bad comedies these days like Yorgos Lanthimos updating the 2003 South Korean film Save the Green Planet for contemporary conspiracy added culture. Buccaneer pits a paranoid shut-in, a scary and scarily sympathetic Jesse Plemons, who I can't stand by the way in Breaking Bad, against a high-powered pharma CEO Emma Stone in her fourth straight fearless collaboration with Lanthimos. Plemons kidnaps Stone's Michelle and demands that she confess her role in an alien plot to destroy Earth. She understandably responds with confusion and outrage. The whole scenario will be absolutely hilarious if it wasn't incredibly scary and stressful. In other words, the film captures the essence of life in 2025 perfectly. Then we have number 16, The Perfect Neighbor, another one I've never heard of. Speaking of scary and stressful, this jaw-dropping Netflix, well, it's a documentary, that's why. Lead up to let's try this again. This jaw-dropping Netflix documentary chronicles the lead up to and aftermath of a horrific act of violence via police body cam footage. The repeated clashes between a Florida woman and her neighbors ultimately escalated into a killing. Well, no wonder. It happened in Florida. Oh, weird stuff happens in Florida. The Perfect Neighbor captures both the agonizing run-up to that act and its heartbreaking fallout, and asks the viewer to contemplate the ways in which our laws sometimes shield the guilty instead of the innocent. This may be a documentary, but it's also the scariest horror film of 2025. So it sounds like one that's made for the times, I think. Yeah, that definitely sounds like something that's made for the times. Number 15, another one I never heard of. Reflection in a Dead Diamond. Diamonds are forever. Former secret agents' death dreams are for 87 minutes as they bubble over with lusciously gaudy retro spy aesthetics. Someone should count how many shots in the film don't contain some sort of camera move or track or pan or process or tint. It can't be that many. Directors Bruno Forzani and Helene Catet fill the Eurospy Gayatolo Panchili with enough indelible images for 20 movies. That was a mouthful. And then swirl through them as their aging hero loses his tenacious grip of his sanity. Oh, to write that one down. Tenacious grip on his sanity. One of the Tessie's arch enemies possesses the ability to hypnotize his foes into believing they are inside a movie. Reflection in a Dead Diamond is so besotted with passion for a retro exploitation cinema, it puts viewers under its own hypnotic spell they'll never want to wake from. And then we got Mickey 17. That's one I have heard about in recent memory. but I've never actually seen it. It just shows that nothing makes Bong Joon-ho happier than taking a beloved super actor, casting them in a wildly over-the-top sci-fi allegory, then taking a wrecking ball to their image of unflapping cool and moral righteousness. Having previously turning Captain America into a baby-eating monster, Bong sets his sights on the Batman himself, Robert Pattinson, in Mickey 17. Like the Dark Knight, Pattinson's Mickey is a man with multiple identities. So it's kind of like the Bourne Identity. Thanks to some ethically questionable technology, he works as an expendable, tackling deadly tasks that are necessary for the future of space colonization. Every time Mickey performs one of these tasks and dies on the job, he's reprinted in a new body. So it's Dollhouse again. He's up to his 17th iteration when there is a screw-up, which results in the 18th Mickey running around as well. Mickey 17 may be a bit more uneven than Bong's Oscar-winning Parasite, but maybe that is form following function. A movie with 18 nearly identical protagonists with a few subtle differences of personality should probably have some fluctuations of mood and tone of its own as well. Number 13, Friendship. Friendship was one of the most interactive theater experiences of 2025. And he says that he's never heard of so many audible sighs and gasps and "oh gods" at a comedy in their entire life. They were well deserved. The entire plot hinges on Tim Robertson's slow-moving humiliation and emasculation after a budding friendship with a cool neighbor, who's Paul Rudd, implodes during a disastrous hangout. Robertson's obliviousness is hilarious. Rudd's cool dude shtick is even funnier, in the script by director Andrew DeYoung probes male insecurities so persistently it could send some middle-aged viewers to the hospital for treatment of muscle spasms brought on by full-body cringes. That's a weird way of putting it. Now one might checking that one out. Number 12, Black Bag. It says he was not prepared for Black Bag's Agatha Christie whodunit, but way hornier vibes. Nor was he prepared for how much that would be his thing. Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett star as a happily married pair of spies, where they were happy until Fassbender is assigned to snoop on his own wife and to suss out whether she may be a double agent. Now that looks cool. Beyond a terrific supporting cast that also includes Rage Jean Page, Marissa Abela, Naomi Harris, and Pierce Brosnan, James Bond himself, the film's appeal is quite simple. In any scene, from moment to moment, it's impossible to predict what will happen next. That's rare and a lot of fun. Interesting one to check out. Number 11. I don't know if I want to see this yet because I'm still on the Smallville high, but number 11 on this list is Superman. For a lot of hardcore comic book fans, it's heretical to even think of comparing a DC movie to Richard Donner's Superman, which I have seen. But James Gunn's Superman has a better Lex Luthor and incredibly self-absorbed and equally thin-skinned Nicholas Hoult, and a fabulous supporting cast, including Eddie Gathegi and the appropriately named Mr. Terrific, and Krypto as Superman's scene-stealing and highly disobedient super pup, Ruff. It also got a wonderfully vulnerable Superman, played by a very charming David Corenswet, to root for and to believe in. But I believe in Joe Hendry more. It's fun and exciting and romantic. It even squeezes in a little social commentary in for good measure. It sets a new standard for DC movies moving forward, which is great news because it's supposed to be the first of a whole universe of superhero films. Now we get into the top 10 here. You got Train Dreams. Every year, there should be an award given to the most sublime film Netflix either produces and or distributes. that least suited to viewing on their platform. And he hereby declares the contemplative, luminous Train Dreams as the inaugural winner of the Best Netflix Movie to Not Watch on Netflix award. No, you watched it on Netflix. It's patient and thoughtful. It's gorgeous and deeply sad. Takes an audience on a journey that spans decades in the life of a lonely logger named Robert Greiner. Joel Egerton, in his subtle but deeply moving performance, directed by Clint Bentley, uses Greiner to chart the gradual evolution of the Pacific Northwest. He travels the region, performs various jobs, encounters different people, and starts a family with a woman named Gladys, Felicity Jones. Train Dreams is not a film that you can watch in a brightly lit room with your eyes constantly darting down to your phone. Turn off the lights and put your phone away and prepare to be transported to another time and place. Number 9 on this list, we got Predator, Badlands. That is one I should check out eventually. If I can find it, I'll watch it. So this one, the Predator franchise, finally takes its Terminator 2. May not quite up to that level of scope or sheer bravado filmmaking, but certainly in terms of themes and structure. Instead of inscrutable, nigh indestructible villain, the Predator this time is a sympathetic protagonist. A runt from a ferocious clan of predators is exiled to the deadliest planet in the galaxy, where he must prove his worthiness by slaying a supposedly unstoppable monster. Without spoiling it, the monster is definitely a little T-1000 coded too. Along the way, the new Predator picks up multiple comedic sidekicks, including Ellie Fanning and an impossibly cheerful android. And yet somehow the film maintains the ferociously one expert expects from a franchise about an invincible alien hunter who kills for sport. The third Predator's film's director, Dan Trachtenberg, is best yet. The most dynamic visuals, the coolest action, the best Predator gadgets and alien MacGuffins, and the smartest use of the character to tell the story about the true meaning of family and honor. Thought that was Fast and the Furious, but I guess Vin Diesel is not the only one that talks about family. I had to put that joke in there. Number 8 on this list is Weapons. This is a horror movie. I have heard about it. One of these days I might check it out. And it says here, if Zach Kreger ever invites you into a dimly lit basement, run for your life. The man loves his creepy dungeon-like spaces, and in Weapons, his supremely satisfying follow-up to his breakthrough 2022 feature, Barbarian, you got a whopper of one lurking beneath the seemingly placid surface of a Pennsylvania suburb. That's where the sudden and unexplained disappearance of 17 children from a single elementary school class sets off a series of interlocking mysteries involving the class teacher, Julia Gardner, one of the missing kids' fathers, who is Thanos himself, Josh Brolin, an alcoholic cop, Alden Ricci. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Help me out here. Pinballing through the chapters driven by its various characters. Weapons finds a tone somewhere between deeply disturbing and cathartically hilarious. It's like the funny, scary version of Pulp Fiction we never knew we needed. Now I'm sold to watch that movie. Now I'm sold. Number 7, I recognize that. Avatar: Fire and Ash. I have heard about it. I only saw the first movie, but I never watched the sequels at all. But let's see what it says here. There are a few reasons why 50 plus years into the franchise, the 3D and high frame rate technology keeps improving, and so does the look of these films. After all those years, Fire and Ash delivers majorly emotional payoffs for character arcs nearly 2 decades in the making. There's an accumulation of time that weighs heavily on the digital Navi's faces of Jake Sully, Miles Korchak, Neytiri, and other major characters. Or maybe it's just because a as a father himself, he's now seemingly incapable of not being moved by a film about dads desperately fighting to protect for their children from increasingly crappy world around them. Whatever the reason, bring on Avatar 4. He's ready. But are you ready for it? Number 6. Oh, I recognize that guy on the right. He has a particular set of skills, I might add. Number 6, The Naked Gun. And then he says here, he needed this movie. 2025's The Naked Gun is 85 minutes of non-stop laughs, visual gags, goofy puns, brilliantly stupid trolling humor, pop culture satire. It's all there in the new Naked Gun, about a good and update of an old franchise and has been made in the 2020s. Liam Neeson plays Frank Driven Jr., the son of Leslie Nielsen's bubbling cop from the original Naked Gun trilogy. Like father, like son, Neeson's Dribbling is a gruff, no-nonsense gumshoe tasked with solving the case involving an evil businessman, a very game Danny Houston, while he roams Los Angeles, reciting an uproarious interior monologue, one of his love interests, played by an even more game Pamela Anderson. He notes she sports a bottom that would make any toilet beg for the brown. Good Lord. The new Naked Gun proves there's still life in the spoof comedy genre and in theatrical comedies in general. Like I said, it's tough to pull satire off, but once you nail it, you got it, and it works. Number 5 on this list is Predators. It says here, thanks to an entertainment ecosystem that demands constant stream of cheap content with a brand name appeal, there are new documentaries like Predators, at least in structure, every single month. You take a pop culture phenomenon for the last 50 years, try to get a bottom of why it was popular, and explain what about it society didn't understand at the time. And in brackets here, it says, off the top of his head, I've watched docs about Pee Wee Herman, Jerry Springer, Alex Rodriguez, Movie Pass, The Yacht Rockers, and Charlie Sheen in just the last few months. I'm going to move on because there's quite a bit here. And let's get to number 4, which is Marty Supreme. It says here, at last, the movie for people who thought the Safdie brothers' Uncut Gems was too chill. Joe Safdie's Marty Supreme is a fable about a myth maker, a table tennis prodigy, and inverted hustler named Mary Mauser. Timothy Chalamet, who somehow keeps getting better and better with each new role. Marty believes he's destined for greatness, but his big mouth and cocky attitude keep getting him into deeper and deeper trouble. And the whole film is like the cinematic version of one of those endless runner mobile games. Marty has to keep running to stay one step ahead of his messes, and if he slows down for even a second, oh, he's a goner. Darkly hilarious, beautifully acted by an elastic cast that includes everyone from Gwyneth Paltrow to Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful and brimming with the rip the armist off your theater seat levels of tension. Marty Supreme is so good, it makes you want to dream really big and imagine a world where it becomes a massive $100 million blockbuster. Number 3, No Other Choice. On the surface, Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice is one of the most satisfying movies of the year. It's incredibly funny and equally suspenseful. There is no doubt in my mind this would have been Alfred Hitchcock's favorite film of 2025. Well, either this or Star Trek Section 31. Oh, geez, I hope that's a joke. But there is so much to the film beyond that. There are witty visual puns and recurring motifs, like the image of plants and trees that all filter back to the central plotline about a longtime paper mill employee who gets laid off and can't find a new job. Although that premise comes directly from the original Donald Westlake novel that inspired No Other Choice, The whole notion of a protagonist who works in the paper industry suits our current moment perfectly. In a time where computers are coming for everyone's jobs, a dude who makes paper is the perfect avatar for a story about what it takes to survive amidst the dog eat dog collapse of the obsolete analog world. Yeah, because everything is digital and everything is automatic. Number 2 on this list, Sinners. This one I have seen. Is Sinners the best vampire movie of 2025, or is it the most insightful film about America and music and culture appropriation in the midst we tell each other about the origins of brilliant artists? Clearly, it's both. And Ryan Coogler's Sinners is also scary, sexy, and occasionally very funny to boot. It's a huge swing of a movie and pretty darn close to a Grand Slam home run. I'd say it's a really damn good movie, I might add. Number 1, One Battle After Another. I'll say this. I think Sinners is a better movie, but I'm glad One Battle After Another is getting its due. One Battle After Another is a true unicorn in Hollywood's IP era, a bold, expensive epic. It reportedly costs upwards of $150 million, with a strong directional point of view and heavy political subtext. It's also impossible to pin it down in any other genre. Writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson combines a paranoid thriller, a stoner adventure, and an issues movie of the sort that used to be the Hollywood studio's bread and butter, then blends them all with a genuinely moving tale about an aging single dad trying to protect his teenage daughter from his own past mistakes in a world falling apart. It's hilarious, beautiful, strange, disturbing, and exciting film. In other words, a new PTA classic. I agree with a lot of that. So that was ScreenCrush's top 20 movies of 2025 according to let's see. I want to see what his name was again. Matt Singer. So that was his top 20 best movies of 2025 from ScreenCrush. That was the main event for this very episode. And this has been episode 55 of the Rock Out Wild Show. I'm going to leave you all with a quote, and it goes something like this. Live life. Let's try this again. There's so many bloopers on this episode, it's not even funny. Anyway, I'm going to end it all with a quote, and it goes something like this. Live like there's no tomorrow. Embrace each moment with gratitude and joy. Take risks, follow your passions, and cherish the people you love. Tomorrow is never guaranteed, so make the most of today. Seize opportunities, create memories, and savor every experience. Live authentically, without regrets, and with a heart full of love. Embrace the beauty of each day and let go of worries about the future. Live in the present moment, fully immersed in the richness of life. Your journey is precious and unique, so make it count. Embrace the adventures, the laughter, and the love that surrounds you. Today is a gift, so live it to the fullest. This has been episode 55 of the Rock Out Wild Show, and I'm your host, just Mike. And on a final note, too, all of you watching and listening to this all around the world, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.